Okay, so right triangle trigonometry. In any right triangle, this is the right angle, and directly across from that is the hypotenuse. It's always the longest side of the triangle. In relation to an angle, we can talk about the adjacent side and the opposite side. So from angle A, the adjacent side would be the side right next to it. So in this triangle, side B is adjacent to A. On the other side of the triangle, side A is opposite to angle A. Now we can also talk about from angle B. If this is angle B, that means this side is adjacent to B. And then on the other side of the triangle, this is opposite B. We have three trigonometric ratios that we are going to define. The first is sine. That's S-I-N-E, sine. Now on the calculator we always just see S-I-N. It's not sin, it's sine. But the sine of an angle is defined as the length of the opposite side divided by the length of the hypotenuse. The cosine of an angle, abbreviated COS, is the adjacent side divided by the length of the hypotenuse. And then finally we have tangent, which we abbreviate TAN. The tangent of an angle is the length of the opposite side of the angle divided by the length of the side adjacent to the angle. Now, we have a shortcut to help us remember these ratios. The sine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So remember S-O-H. S for sine, O for opposite, H for hypotenuse. The cosine is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. C for cosine, A for hypotenuse, A for adjacent, H for hypotenuse. And then the tangent is the opposite divided by the adjacent. T for tangent, O for opposite, A for adjacent. So, ka, toa. Let's do a couple of examples. The first example says label the sides of the triangle as opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So we're saying in relation to this angle, where are the opposite and the adjacent and the hypotenuse? Now the hypotenuse is the easiest. If you find the right angle, it's always right across. From this angle, we go to the other side of the triangle, that's the opposite, and the side right next to it, that's the adjacent. We'll do it again. Hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay, this example says use the diagram at right to name each piece of the triangle. The capital letters always represent angles, and directly across from them I'm going to use lowercase letters to represent the side lengths. So the hypotenuse is side C, the side adjacent to A is side B, the side opposite A is side A, the side adjacent to B is side A, the side opposite B is side B, the angle opposite the hypotenuse is capital C. Continuing section 1, right triangle trigonometry. The last example says use the triangle at right to give the indicated ratio. We want the sine of theta. Using this triangle, if we locate our theta, I want to label the three sides of the triangle. So from the right angle, here is H for hypotenuse. From theta, here is O for opposite. And from theta, here is A for adjacent. Now, from up above, we should have that the sine is the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. So looking at the triangle, the opposite side is labeled with a B, and the hypotenuse is labeled with a C. So, the sine of theta is equal to B divided by C. Okay, letter B says find the cosine of phi. So from phi, I want to label the opposite and the adjacent. Here's my opposite side. Here's my adjacent side. Notice those are switched from the last question, but the hypotenuse is actually always going to be the same. So now from phi, I want the cosine. Cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse. The side adjacent to phi is side B. The hypotenuse of the triangle is C. So the cosine of phi is B over C. If we notice that the sine of one angle and the cosine of the other angle are exactly the same, that's why cosine is the partner of sine. Now the last one, we're going to go back to theta. So these opposite and adjacent are going to flip again. So from theta, here's my opposite, here's my adjacent. I left the hypotenuse this time because that doesn't change. So tangent is the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. The opposite of theta is side B. The adjacent to theta is side A. So the tangent of theta is the fraction B over A.